going on, YouTube world? Steve Vincenzo. I'm back. Some internet issues last week. IRP number 168. Talk about the ever-present buddy system. I actually listened to it because I could listen to it. Trying to think as basically where you guys started talking about who you thought was going to be in the old YTU, the YouTube Hall of Fame. And then after that, it's been busy. But right here on the Insert Revolution podcast, it is your actual home for people who collected 90s inserts in the 90s and have a fucking goddamn clue about what they're talking about, and not bringing on people who fucking just like stumbled off the turnip truck. And if you're going to get collectors of players, you might want to get collectors of players that have been collecting the player for more than 4 or 5 years. And that player was a rookie in the mid to late 90s. Again, though, when you try to volley with us, it's not going to work out for you, ever.
Did you guys get your cease and assist letters? Since there's only one. There's only allowed to be one. I didn't know it was copyrighted under God's free earth.
Potato, like established. Does it really matter? Like, really? I mean, does it really matter?
Be like Jeff Wilson. Look, I got 90s inserts. I got tons of 90s inserts. Look.
Yeah, I got a stack of them here too.
Those 90s inserts?
Almost all 90s.
Or early 2000s.
Almost all 90s in that stack.
Here's a modern day insert. We cover the gamut. We just don't hold ourselves to a small smidgen of the hobby. We cover a plethora.
SPX Radiance. Is that what that first one was, Dave?
And if you're going to talk about copies of cards, fucking have them. And if you're going to talk about inserts, again, do some of your research on your guest so it doesn't make you look even dumber than you fucking already are. But make sure that they don't collect 2 fucking types of cards. And that's all we talk about. I don't know about this, but I sure do know about this one.
At the end of the day, anything and everything can be debated. Everything is an opinion in a lot of sense, which is fine. We appreciate varying opinions. We have a tendency to not always go with the norm, because let's face it, if everybody thought the same way, conversation would be boring. Everybody knows, of course, I like to play devil's advocate a lot of the time. I know that's crazy to think, me playing devil's advocate, but it creates conversation. And at the end of the day, the three of us don't always agree on everything. Is that serial numbered version? Of course it is. For those who don't know, there's 3 versions of that card. The non-die cut, the die cut, and the one die cut numbered to 100. There's 3.
It's not 97 metal, but it's still a nice card.
SP Authentic, just as good. And in my opinion,
you can have one of them?
Yes, and I have quite a few of them. Precious metals, PMGs, are not the greatest insert.
Nope.
It's my opinion, but just because the hobby during COVID decided to hype the shit out of PMGs, that's what everybody leans towards. Is it a huge card for people? Absolutely. As a player collector in the night, if your player, or maybe not originated, but if your player has cards in the 90s, those cards are probably at the top of a lot of people's lists. It's not at the top of mine.
No.
It's a top 5, but it's not at the top. Because I feel like there's other cards that I appreciate more. Nothing wrong
all
with
about hashtag appreciation.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with feeling the way anybody does. Like, I'm trying not to be a complete ass here. I know that's hard to believe. But, like, the world doesn't revolve around PMGs. It doesn't. Beautiful card. Great concept. Great idea. We covered them years ago as far as Easter eggs are concerned, because a lot of people didn't know how they worked from a numbering perspective.
Eggs catching on to the lingo, allegedly. I like it.
People get it. 99% of the people, okay, that's a little bit of an exaggeration. Most people have no idea what the hell that is, Dave, and why that card is so special.
Well, if they'd go to the original insert podcast established in 2019, maybe those three gentlemen will fucking enlighten you. Or they might tell you about Marc-Andre Fleury instead, because it's easy to flip a card over and say, well, I'm the original now because no, I still collect. Well, hold on a minute. No, when you're caught in your own fucking web of dumb shit, it makes you look like a fucking idiot. I mean, you do a good enough job, but it just continues on. But we can't show a round table with Instagram on that particular channel anymore because all those people have bailed on you too. Again, it's a Titanic. At some point, everyone else will bail too because they know you're a fucking hose bag.
Talk about 90s inserts. I posted this on Instagram. Of course, it didn't get as many likes as my 2014 Flawless 1 of 1, which doesn't surprise me, and that's okay. But I can at least be brutally honest. I didn't know this card fucking existed until I won it years back. Everybody's like, okay, what's so special about it? So if you go look at my Instagram post, I even put the excerpt from the almanac about it so people could be educated like I was. This is from 1997, folks. First year of printing plates. Yeah. Pinnacle, mind you, Pinnacle. Front and back plates, all 4 colors. So, in essence, 1 of 1s. But in 97, not many cards out there numbered to 10. Or cards numbered to 5, for that matter, in 97. And there's a few of those, too. But they called this in the almanac as a quote-unquote, like, stealth parallel. Like, it was unannounced based on what the almanac states. Kind of a cool concept. Marino Collector on Instagram, who I follow, I think is what his IG handle is. He commented on this post. Of all the people that I follow from a 90s perspective, he was the one guy that I had a feeling probably knew about this card or this version and probably owned one. Because he's a Marino guy And let me tell you, that guy has some fucking rare shit. You want to talk about seeing some rare stuff from the 90s? Dave's got a shit ton of it across multiple players. Linchpins, great insert set. But that guy, holy shit. He has shown stuff that I've never seen before. Dave's busting out with the freaking basketball stuff that, of course, is through the roof when it comes to the big name sets, Intimidation Nation, and such. That's a freaking awesome fucking card.
What do they call those?
Titanium.
They have palladiums now that are signed. They're awesome.
Platinum portraits. See, Mike knows who I'm talking about. So yeah, it's that guy. Basketball in the 90s, and I hate to admit this because everybody knows I'm a football guy. Not every shut up. Unfortunately, some of the stuff for basketball did not translate into football, which is unfortunate. Some things I get because, like, there are no nets in football and stuff along those lines. So I get certain things. But the fact that certain cards didn't translate to football and or baseball, for that matter, was unfortunate. Like football or basketball in the 90s had some cool shit. I still love my football. I will always love my football. Nice shit too. But I have to say, it pales in comparison to some of the stuff from basketball. That's a beaut. But yeah, the only reason why I even had this out is I was getting ready to start integrating stuff. And, I sat there and I started thinking, I don't have all the big cards. I've never admitted to having all the big cards. I've missed out on opportunities for big cards. Yes, we see your jambalaya, Dave.
I want to make sure Paul's in it.
Rubbing it in.
Not at that price. That's not a rubbing it in price.
That doesn't count, Paul. The net behind the field goal doesn't count.
If we're going to talk about 96 Select Certified, and we're going to give a... Oh, I know it was cool.
Yep.
Again,
it may be the Silver Spirals variation, but still huge card. Premium stock mirror red. Stated print run 20 copies. From 96. Yeah. But then again, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Nope. Fucking we're stupid. We're dumb. We're not the original podcast, but we were the originators of actually collecting it.
But yeah, I just started thinking, it has nothing to do with shit that's going on per se. I've had a lot of people. Okay, a lot of people is probably a stretch, but I've had individuals message me on Instagram, dude, you got some nice stuff. Like, share more. And a part of me wants to, but a part of me doesn't. It goes back to what I've said before, be careful of who you let into your inner sanctum. But at the same time, there's stuff in the TD collection that not everybody gets to see every day. I'm the average Joe collector. You know, I'm not worth millions of dollars like some of these other guys and can always share these huge cards. None of us are those people. But, you know, collecting a player for over 2.5 decades, you've seen some shit. You've picked up some shit. And, you know, the fact, like I said, this one in particular, I'm like, how many people knew about this card? Only 2 comments, Marino Collector being one of them. Like I said, he was probably one of the few people that I was like, okay, I know he's probably seen it, he knew about it, probably owned one or a few. But outside of that, me personally, I didn't know about this card until I bought it years ago. Everybody knows about the big name cards, and they always focus on the big name cards. You know, the boom of the COVID era, you know, is what made Skybox Premium Rubies even a thing. For those who collected in the 90s, I've talked about this. I opened almost a case of 97 Skybox Premium. I pulled one ruby. And it's in the hands of another collector who is an OG, who no longer makes videos. One. I knew those cards were big then. But it took the COVID boom and influencers to sit there and, you know, make it a thing. Mirror Red premium stock. Knew those cards were huge. The old card shop I worked for had a complete set. Complete set. Which is crazy to think. He sold all the big ones to a guy, I think, in Hawaii at the time. It was like a $1,800 order. And I think he ordered like 23 of them or something, which at the time, that was a lot of money. Nothing compared to what it would be now, right? He sent him the Brett Favre for free. And he had the Favre listed for like $600. But because he spent so much money, he wanted to do right. And I'm like, that's pretty fucking awesome. But those are huge. Huge. I've seen 3 in the last, I don't know, 6 years. I've lost every single time because it's not one in which I have. And that hurts. We talk about those that hurt. It doesn't haunt me, but it still hurts because a lot of them are going to be buried in collections and or sets maybe. But there are so many other cards in the 90s outside of PMGs and rubies. And I hate to take away from Skybox Premium Rubies because 97 are absolutely fucking gorgeous cards. But there's more out there that are, in my opinion, better. PMGs are grails. I get it for a player collector. It's still, I would still consider it a grail to me, but it's not at the top of my list. And I have multiple lists, technically. I have my 90s era, early 2000s list of like my top 5 ones. And then I have my top 5 from like an autograph memorabilia type want, which encompasses more than inserts and parallels. What's going on, Eric? So, and like I said, PMGs, they're like 4 and 5 on my list because I don't put them at that high of level to be number 1 and 2.
They're like 15, maybe 20.
Well, you don't have the original 90s to go after, so like
I got 12, 13 Fleer Retro, and I don't have the blue, the red, or the green. I have the other years. He has a blue and a red. I paid $40 for both of them, and I paid more for the red than the blue. So I was like, oh, these look cool. I had no idea what a PMG was. I was gone for how many years? And I'm like, these look cool. They're blue, they're red, they're numbered. Then I did my research, and that's that. Now I'm
and
quite adept at the whole PMG bullshit.
but it's nothing beats the original.
Yeah, but there's no original till 12, 13.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
From a hockey perspective, I get it. Nothing beats the original. Nothing. I mean, it's a great effort, but they don't, my opinion, they don't look as good as the originals do. They don't. They're lacking in like vibrant color. I don't know how else to put it. But then again, metal in 97, the card stock is different than what it was in later years when they recreated them, which does make a difference. But, you know, and it's hard for me, like my top 5 from the 90s, early 2000 perspective, it fluctuates. Some like 1 and 2 flip flop. And part of it's because when I see them, when they come up, it's like, maybe the world is telling me something, right? So for those who are curious, my 1 and 2, 20, so Fleer Brilliance 24 karat gold. And the other is, this may surprise people, but it's the precious metal from 98. You see more precious metal or precious metals from 97 than what you do from 98. I've seen one in the last few years for 98. And I about like choked when I saw what they wanted for it. I like 97 better. I already own my 97 copy, so I'm good there. But 98's the other one. And for those who are curious, 97 was platinum, 98 is gold. So I like Joe's phrasing. They don't hold a candle to. That's fair. And thanks for the third comment, Paul. And I'm guessing it's going to be a fire emoji.
Or an investor.
Nope, fire emoji. Should have known. Should have known. Should have known.
Hey, Dave, do you got Sakics Go Top Shelf?
I might. Because that might be the first one I got. Because I'm like, nobody else. I don't know if Lindros I think he's got one because I believe.
If you need one, I got one for you.
So I'll double check. I'm pretty certain I do. And I can even think of like the run of like cards that's usually next to in the 2-row graded boxes.
Is that from that lot,
Yeah,
Benny, that you grabbed?
that came in today, and hit the serial numbers 649, 225, 223, and 1755 of 2000. So that's the Sakic. And then it had 3, and I know you have this because I saw it the other day. There's the Lindros, and that's 1162, 256, and 637. But wait, there's more. So the Paul Koreas are 17, 18, and 134. I will definitely be keeping the 17 for reasons. And then what are the Mogilnys? Oh, yeah. Mogilny is 86, 1940, and 1081. Mikey Mo is 31 and 1178. And then the Paul Korea, no, Timu, 334 and 462. 2 Marios, 1874 and 1536. And then one each Yager, 1138, and Forsberg, 1303. The only thing the lot didn't have is the Hall, which I have. So out of this, I calculated it. It would be cheaper buying that lot than trying to go after them individually. And I already had the one card that was missing, the Hall. So, bang.
Well, when you said, is this going to be a good deal, or is this something like, would you do it, or whatever your phrasing was on it? I didn't even have to look at a price or to see that many of those in that. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, they were. You don't see. I've never seen a grouping of 21 of these at once,
Ever.
and all but one for the whole set.
I'm sure I'll be contacting you about the Mighty Ducks ones.
Yeah, if I got them and you need them, let me know.
Because that is
LMK.
Yeah.
that is one of those underrated because it's not numbered to like 100, or it's like the Easter egg, like a die cut version to 50 or whatever. It's just a cool looking card.
Look at that.
And it doesn't. You can't even. Let's see if we can get the raised edges on it. Because you can see there is, like down by his glove, holding the butt end of the stick. You can sort of see it looks like lines across. Those are all raised lines. And again, I believe it ends at the player. I don't recall, but that year of Donruss and Leaf products overall.
Yeah, those were pretty solid.
So many cards in there that you're like, it's 1,000. Who cares? Nope, that's incorrect. Insane to try to find some of this stuff because it just
Doesn't come up.
Yeah, it's not because people threw it away because they didn't know what they had, because the pack was $1.49.
They were in that.
I remember buying the shit out of Donruss, any hockey at that point. We would buy tons of it just because, again, everything was so cool looking. So it
Yeah, DLP put out some good shit.
So
Yeah,
you
they're-
have, yeah, because you have 96, 97 Donruss, and then you have 96, 97 Donruss Elite. Then you have 96, 97 Leaf, 96, 97 Leaf Limited, and then 96, 97 Donruss Canadian Ice. So they pumped out some, not to
Preferred?
mention Summit and Preferred and everything else. 96, 97 was a Skybox Impact.
preferred teams, the Pinnacle and those artist proofs, again, one per box or on average ish.
Your Select and your regular Pinnacle.
Select
your
certain.
Select Certified, and you have your Summit right there, Pinnacle Summit. Regular Pinnacle, which I wouldn't recommend buying 96, 97 Pinnacle, this right here, because these brick like a son of a gun.
Yep.
I bought a box for cheap before the pandemic, and they want $97 plus $15 shipping. They have 6 available. That thing, because of the foil on the cards and the finish, they will brick and you will just get clumps.
Yep.
Because I tried it. I took a shot at it for $42 for a box, and they were the bigger packs. They were the thick ones, the thickies, as Bob Lewis would say, and they were just clump.
Yeah, that's the only bad part when people are hanging on to that stuff. It's like, ugh.
It depends what it is.
Yeah.
I've gone through most of it, and I figured out what sticks and what doesn't. And that stuff sticks. So I will not buy. I bought a set of 96, 97 hand collated set Pinnacle because I knew that trying to pull it from a box was going to be impossible because it was going to stick.
Skybox Premium was bad too in '97.
Like I said, you could get Nat Turner opened a box of finest from the 90s yesterday, basketball, and you luck out because the cards have the protective coating on it. So that's a safe bet. It won't stick. Then there was, what else did I try? Something else where the inserts are backwards. So they didn't stick because the front of the card faced the back of the card that didn't have the glossiness to it. And thusly, that's why you were able to get the cards out of there. But any of those years, you have to watch where you get them from and if they're going to stick. And sometimes the box is worth more than there's 96, 97 metal for hockey. It has no PMGs, and they go for $500-$600 a box. There's other stuff in there, but what is it? Fleer Ultra, the last year, I think it's 96, 97. It goes for big, crazy money.
Same thing.
Ultra has a tendency to stick too.
Thanks, Joe.
She was gonna do anything about it.
This is more random since
I
we're
didn't
not.
think she
This
would.
isn't
I
'90s,
know,
but
but that affect her. She don't care.
Out of a fat pack,
I didn't.
Out of a
I
fat
tried.
pack.
I didn't want to stress myself out and try
it's not a bad one to have.
I did.
I think Jeff has an up arrow next to that.
So, but that probably made
Can't
that
complain.
better than if I did text her and she didn't.
that was a
respond.
welcome
That
surprise.
would-
Of course, I'd rather have just the base rookie
Not that I would have
personally,
told her what happened, but-
since I'm more of a base rookie guy than I am the parallels.
Here's one for you, Dave, and you guys will appreciate it. Look how the numbering is. It's dot matrix. old school crash numbering type printing on that. It's out of OPG, regular OPG, but kind of looks like the OPG Platinum finish.
Mm.
But that's out of 100. It's 2 of 100.
Throwing that in the pile of the basketball, I think we did. Cam Thomas, who this year again, that's one of the benefits of playing fantasy sports. Sort of keep up with, again, you hear about the Jokic's, the Giannis, LeBron, Curry, Durant, Devin Booker, all the stars. You hear about them. Guy like that's had I don't know how many 40-point games, 30-point games. I mean, again, for a Nets team, that's pretty much junk. Because again, when you try to get these three-headed superstar factions, you see what happens. Not a lot of good stuff. You pool all your resources in 3 people. You take out picks, you take out young talent, and you put the 3 people that are on the screen right now as reserves, or you have to start one of us, and it's like, no, it just doesn't work out. But he's got a chance to play this year, and I know he played a bit last year too, because he had 40-point games, like 3-4 of them in a row, like out of nowhere, like RKO'd. And I'll thank them for being on last week. Nice little segue there, of course. Ryan and Neil jumping on, even so pissed off. I wanted to ask them the questions though, and even
Hey, I asked the ones that you sent,
yep.
so I tried.
I when the internet basically is disconnected, not any fault of my own, payment is in there every month, the same time, usually more than the bill is for, because they didn't send you out any literature in the mail saying, hey, you've got to swap out your modem by February 6th. I want you all, we'll take a brief moment here, go to your nearest calendar or date book or whatever you use.
Phone.
Nah. Go check what today's date is. It's not February 6th, I'll tell you that.
Well, actually, considering it happened last week, so
It
minus 7 days.
So, yeah, I was not happy. And by Friday, I was beyond livid. Because again, can't watch TV. Because again, it's all fucking streaming. It's a smart TV or whatever, too. So, Pluto and Tubi and all these free apps that you can watch movies and shows and reruns on. You still can't even watch that.
So you got some sorting and organization done, right? Okay, I know the answer to that question.
He got brooding anger done. That's what he got done. Brooding anger.
He did find something.
This is correct.
The question is, do you remember where you put it?
Fairly certain. I should just fucking put it in a bubble mailer and mail it to you right now. And I don't even care what the price is. Be like, I need to get it to you because it's been like 4 years.
It's been over 2 years. And it's when I sent you that text, whenever that was, not long after the Christmas episode.
Because I forgot it again.
Like, Dave, I know you had mentioned that you found it and you were good. Did you misplace it again? For those that are curious, it's the 96 Select Certified Blue Parallel. Which
Not the mirror.
still is, it's
The-
not
just-
the mirror.
Just the certified blue.
Yeah. I already have the mirror. Red, blue, missing the gold. Had an opportunity for that one too, and I didn't like the copy that I saw. Reasonable ask, price wise. It's just didn't like the condition. But yeah, I think it's like 2.5 years ago. And it's been kind of a running joke. But, you know, Dave knows I love him. And it's always funny. Because we had talked about it. Hey, I found it. And you'll have it for Christmas. And then, of course, Christmas package open live last year. And it's
The,
like,
the, the one thing you're looking for, the one card you're like,
hey, I didn't say anything on the show. I sent it to you via text message. Of course, I should probably go back and reread your response because it was quite humorous. Oh, fucking hell, shit, whatever the hell, whatever it was.
yeah, it was.
That's the disadvantage of, and this is not a jab, Dave. Please understand. This is not a jab. The disadvantage of having multiple stacks and being unorganized.
Oh God, yeah.
And it like I'm just as guilty because like for you and Vinny and for Bob, like I haven't stumbled across stuff that I meant to include and stuff for Christmas. But other stacks that I have for other people, it's like, wait a minute. And then I'll look through something else. I was like, I know I set that aside and I put it like, what the hell happened? So at least from y'all's perspective, y'all got everything that I expected that I was planning to send. Others, thank goodness I haven't sent it yet, but I keep stumbling across other stuff because they keep like I shift piles and I move piles, and like when I changed to the smaller table in the office and started like moving a bunch of other stuff and putting it in other boxes and stuff, I'll look through a box from time to time and I'm like, why the fuck is that in there? Like, that doesn't belong in there. Oh, it's because you were just trying to find places to stick shit so you could move it. Yeah, how well that work out for you? Mm-hmm. It hasn't.
No, it never does. Like, I'll remember.
Yeah, exactly. And then, I mean, with all the boxes and stuff sitting like
growing. There's one.
The ones that are sitting over here, there's a reason they're sitting over there instead of down below like the table here. Like these are partially segregated for set purposes or needing to collate for set purposes, inserts, parallels, that type of stuff. And I have a feeling there's a few boxes over here that probably shouldn't be up here, and there's nothing but a bunch of fucking base cards. And all the base cards I was trying to keep like with all the base cards, but that hasn't worked so well either. Too many damn cards to to get organized, but I need to because it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And at some point, Dave, I need to open the Prism wrestling that you sent me. I guess I never bothered to tell you. I did end up like getting my stash.
I remember you saying that well after the fact that I had that one. So I'm like, I got another one. I don't care.
So, well, no, this one, like, it gives me something to open. because like the stuff that I normally pick up, it's to just stash it back in hopes that, things happen. And at a bare minimum, sit on them for 3 to 5 years. Maybe some of them go up fairly decent amount. Others, maybe they don't. It's all a crapshoot, as we all know. But it's enjoyable. It's nothing that I've done previously. And it's cheaper than hobby. So it's not like I'm gonna lose exponentially if something does, tank for whatever reason.
Well,
And
why
I'm
don't
selective. I'm selective when it comes to that too. So
we still have the Prism to open too. Football.
yep, I still have them sitting, waiting, and ready to go.
Which I believe at some point soon we need to.
Rekindle.
I won't even say rekindle, just to. And again, I don't want to do it to do it.
It got expensive, guys. I mean, let's face it.
I-
It got expensive.
I'm aware, but I'm just saying that our last one was what, August of 22, maybe.
Yeah, it was pre-national.
So
And I mean, they were fun for us. Maybe not fun for others, because they sure the hell didn't get the views. But, and again, we don't do this for the views. We've said it. We don't do it for the views. We don't do it for the likes or the dislikes or the subscribers. Like we don't. Like
or the votes for the YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame.
we do this for enjoyment. We enjoy the conversations. Do we focus on the cards as much as what we used to early on? No. Because the conversations, and I'm speaking for myself, I don't want to speak for the two of you, but I enjoy more of the conversations. The cards are great. We all will agree with that. But that's not why we keep doing this. We do this for the conversations and continuing to solidify and, firm up the friendships. So
I do it for the popularity.
you're the worst liar ever.
This is true.
It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be enjoyable. And, the minute it stops, then the show stops. But right now we're still enjoying it. We've had great people on. We have people who consistently come and hang out, join in the conversation. We've had some good conversations. We've had some, I'll call them debates. I don't want to call them disagreements. Debates, I think, is a better word. But, it's fun. We always talk about this as a hobby. We came together through the hobby. Hobby is supposed to be fun. So
It's about cardboard.
no, it's not. Vinny's wanting to be an ass this evening. Thought that was my job.
Just this evening?
Thought that was my job.
Nah, I'll take over for tonight. I'll give you a rest.
Don't want to, confuse people, So yeah. So do we go? So we go football talk, and then maybe a little bit of Hall of Fame talk.
Can.
That was so like, just like
Dave's the decisive one.
raw. Yes, let's talk about that.
Better half, come talk about the Lions.
So enthused, Dave. So enthused.
Well, again, the matchup that I did not want to see.
I well, and I'm right there with you. One of the things that like confused the shit out of me. I know it's technically not hard to do. Why did Baltimore not kind of go with the same philosophy on defense that they did against Houston? Because it worked against Houston. CJ is a mobile quarterback, just like Mahomes is. Like Baltimore barely sent any pressure. And when you give a quarterback, I don't give a damn how shitty or good they are. You give them enough time to throw the football, they're going to pick your ass apart. And that's really what happened. Do I think the better team won? Absolutely not. But I will give Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs kudos. They are playing their best football right now.
They're
And they
living their best
find,
life.
well, they shifted into a higher gear, man, come postseason. So I can't fault them. But I don't think the better team won at all. I know a lot of people are talking about, oh, it's big money, Taylor Swift, blah, 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 brings a lot of visibility, a lot of money. The NFL is a business. There's a lot of argument to that and some potential, let's face it. I don't think any of us want to think that way, but there's always that potential. And you can argue both sides of that point, I guess. And I'm not a huge Baltimore fan. Do not take that out of context. I am not a huge Baltimore fan. Only because of what they did to my Denver Broncos years ago when Flacco ended up getting his Super Bowl. But Kansas City played a better game. I've heard certain things about some ticky-tacky penalties. The only ticky-tacky penalty that I thought was a little excessive was the offsides that turned into a personal foul on Roquan Smith at the end of the game. I think that was a little much. Not saying that the guy flopped, but in all actuality, he could have flopped. I mean, it didn't look as though he was putting full force on hitting the offensive lineman. That's just my own personal opinion. And that changed the dynamic. Like high IQ play, giving them the first down, in going from 1st and 5, getting the penalty, then, getting them the first down, but to get a personal foul, I think that was a little much, but rules are rules, I guess.
I did laugh my ass off when Mahomes got clotheslined. I thought that was pretty fucking funny. Uh, penalty, nonetheless. Like, I'm not saying that they were giving Patrick more leniency with the calls than what Baltimore was. Snoop, I get it. Like, but in all reality, Taylor Swift's one of the hottest the hottest current stars. So, like, I get it. I don't like it. But it was a good game. You good, Sir Bobbeth?
It for me, and again, Trista's in the boat of she probably doesn't want to be shown on there, and again, it's gotten a lot better. I think the Jets Chiefs game, like week 2, 3, when you got Chris Collinsworth and Al Michaels or whoever it was on the NBC broadcast, they're trying to make like puns with Taylor Swift lyrics. You need to check
Reel it
yourself
in.
at the door. It's like, come on now. We're watching football. We're not watching.
Reel it in a little bit.
It's not the movie or whatever that movie she had or the big concert thing. But she's almost, I'd say this past year is almost like a Michael Jackson type year, minus having the talent. I mean, you have so many people like invested in what she's doing. You have concerts, you have a film. Now she's football games. I mean, it's like she's everywhere. She's not flipped the football games out for Michael Jackson with Pepsi when he was. But that's the thing. It's like brilliant.
How long before we see her on Backyard Breaks? That's basically all I need to know. She'll make a guest appearance on there and break the internet.
They
for the
couldn't.
hobby.
They couldn't afford it.
No, with all the logo men that they've got, and all the
they got
Kaboom Golds or whatever. It's
because they still got them. They weren't giving them out.
no.
This is true. It's a Tesla. Remember?
It's a Tesla. That's a Tesla.
It's big money. It's visibility. It's big money. It's introducing people that would give two shits about football the opportunity to potentially watch the game. Like, I get it.
Oh, that fan base is already like a Super Bowl gig. You know what I mean? Like people that aren't really into football, they still might attend a Super Bowl party. The game's on in the background. It's not why they're there, but like, oh, Taylor Swift is involved. Usher is a halftime show. I mean, that's like there's some appeal there for people that aren't necessarily football watchers, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, from my perspective, I hate, like, how many times do you have to show her? Like, who gives a shit?
Well,
like, we don't.
I can't. What do you think the prop bet will be on that? How many times Taylor Swift is on camera? Probably be 6.5.
Yeah, every time Travis Kelce makes a catch. And speaking of Travis Kelce, I think that guy's an ass. Like, beyond an ass.
I like his brother a lot better. I'll say that.
Yeah, because he's a good human being. Like, Travis is
He's
just
a normal human being. Yeah, I don't know. I can't get over how I just feel like it's just too much of he's putting one on. I don't know.
No, I think he's just an ass. Like, seriously, I think he's just a straight up ass. Hell of a football player. Hell of a football player. But I
That's
think
like
he's an
the-
ass.
That's like the Don Rickles. Tear a guy up one side and down the other and be like, hell of a guy, though.
I just the NFC game, like that was a hell of a game to watch.
Yeah.
Detroit screwed the pooch. Like their
Damn.
defense they just like
I was rooting
don't-
for him, man. I was rooting
I
so
don't
hard
know.
for him.
I was too from the feel good story. You know, they hadn't been. It just like
I
they
like
played
Brock
their
Purdy,
a-
too.
They played their ass off.
Mr. Irrelevant.
They were
I like-
there. They had a chance. Can you throw out Dan Campbell's his aggressiveness as to the reason why they may have lost? Who knows? Like
I mean, how much of his aggressiveness got him to the 12-5, or what was it? Is that what they ended up 12-5? Like
12-6.
I didn't follow their season all that much. I knew I was kind of funny how I was thinking the if they won, it was going to be a repeat of the season opener, KC versus Detroit, and that was the first one. I was like, dang, okay, Detroit is something's happening there.
Well, it's his aggressiveness is what put them where they were. Like his style of coaching put them where they ended up. And like they played their ass off. Like everybody talks about, halftime adjustments. And San Francisco made the adjustments, and Detroit didn't find a way to counteract those adjustments. They did.
I mean, turnovers were an issue, right? Turnovers were an issue. I mean, when aren't they in a big game? So
I love the Purdy story though too. Like I agree with you, Bob. Like I love the Purdy story.
not
kid
first
is
pick
good.
versus the last pick. First pick versus the last pick. That was kind of funny. That was where it was heading.
Yep. I mean, Purdy, I think, is the real deal. I think he's the real deal. San Francisco has a lot of faith in him. The kid is good.
Did you see the Alex Smith? Did you see the Alex Smith clip talking about Purdy? Alex
No.
Smith. It looked like ESPN or one of the outlets. And Alex Smith quote says, as the leader or as the number one guy basically of the game managers club, Brock Purdy is not one of us. Because they will show if you make plays like that first down that he ran for and stuff, you make plays, then you can't be just a game manager. You've become more. And it was just funny, the tongue in cheekness of Alex Smith knowing his role of just being quote unquote game manager and saying Brock Purdy isn't one of us because the dude makes plays when it's needed. So it's kind of cool.
Well, and
I'm sure we'll all be sick of Brock Purdy, over the next 2 weeks. But
I mean, if you look at it, so 3 of the 4 quarterbacks in the championship games are not quote unquote game managers. They make plays. They could make plays with their legs. The only one that doesn't fit that bill is Goff. Goff is not a game manager. I don't put him in that same category.
no, I mean the guy, he's tossing the ball all over now.
So, but he's not. He doesn't fit the bill of Lamar, Purdy, and Mahomes. He was
Right.
the only. He was the.
He's not even a drop. Yeah, he is not a run threat at all.
If he has to, he will. But that's not.
Sure, I mean that's any quarterback, right? I mean if if the play breaks down and you got to get some yards, I mean, every quarterback should be willing. I mean, unless you're like Neil O'Donnell out there, or like who's like the most immobile quarterback? I mean, Marino,
Tom Brady.
Marino.
Tom Brady.
Marino in his later years out. Anytime they played on NBC, we'd watch it a couple buddies, and I'd say there's adult diapers, Dan Marino.
Yeah, right.
'Cause he
Yeah,
was just
two
in there.
knee braces on, like just holding everything together by Velcro.
That guy was another one that was immobile. Unless they said last call. Then Gary Collins would run. Then you'd see lightning speed.
Well, and it still cracks me up that they always.
Was Kurt Warner? I mean, again, they'd run when he had to, but like he was pretty much a true pocket passer, right? Even though he came from the
Kurt
so
Warner looked like he was running in quicksand.
right.
Well, so did Elway in his later years.
Jared
Wow.
Lorenzen.
I think he had more speed than once. It's inertia there. Once you get that mass going in
That's right.
motion.
The kinetic energy, or yeah, right.
What Vinny Testaverde had like a 20-yard run on like a Monday night game once, and it's like that's Vinny Testaverde, like 40 years old, like running out there. Looks like somebody at your local like YMCA and the walking track or whatever. It's like all of a sudden getting the burst. No, this
Hey.
even though they were on, I watched maybe. I didn't watch any of the Detroit game. I didn't have Fox. Like I said, Fox doesn't have a streaming app. And I could watch the Baltimore because it was on CBS, so Paramount. I never thought in my life, again, if you told me 20 years ago, Dave, it's Championship Sunday. Baltimore, one of your teams you've liked forever. Again, the jerseys are cool. I hate that it's the Browns, but because the Browns got fucked on that. But if you would have said you're going to be watching Indiana State and UIC women's basketball over Baltimore, Kansas City for a chance to go to the Super Bowl, I would have hit you so hard in the cock that it would have come out your ass.
I think I need to go throw up now.
And if you don't, I mean, there's some very serious troubles going on. Even more troubles than the action that was just performed.
Detroit, San Francisco was in my opinion, was a better game to watch than Kansas City, Baltimore.
Yeah, tale of two halves, but still, it was. Yeah, you saw the pounding in the first quarter, and you saw the comeback in the second. That was an okay game. Yeah, that was fun to watch.
Yep. So,
And they were essentially in it pretty much up until a certain point, but it's like, oh well. I mean,
Baltimore
nothing's
had
going to
their-
top a couple of years ago. Was that 2 years ago or last year, 2 years ago, when there was like that Buffalo KC game was like nothing like I've ever seen before, man.
Well, Baltimore had their chances. Two
Yeah.
fumbles in the end zone and a pick in the end zone, or one fumble in the end
I
zone.
mean,
and a pick like
you know-
whatever it was, like they had their chances.
My dad and I were talking. We said like every era of football, there's those guys like that are just they're elite players. Speaking of Lamar specifically, but there's just somebody that's in the way, always in the way. And Mahomes is that guy. He's that guy for Allen too. He's that guy for Burrow too. He's that guy for Herbert too. I mean, Herbert hasn't done squat yet, but it's just like, that guy was Brady for so long, for like Roethlisberger and Rivers and anybody else really in the AFC. It's just, I don't know, man.
I've told people at work, and customers come in and talk football with me or whatever, and I'm like, Mahomes is your new Brady because he's just you sit there and you're like, well, you know what? Their regular season, it was meh. It was good,
Yeah.
but it wasn't what we've seen. They'll flame out. I'm like,
Get to
No.
the playoffs. And then
that's what
take
it
it
is.
up to the next level.
Mhm.
That's it.
Not against Mahomes.
So
It's
you
like-
guys, are you guys leaning to KC, or are we not? We're not making picks yet until next week.
We can make picks like it's not going to change, like,
No.
unless some crazy injury happens.
I mean, if Taylor Swift gets injured, I mean, I'm definitely rolling with the Niners. She can pull a hammy.
I'm rooting for Purdy.
Ambidextrous.
Yeah, I have rooting interest for the 49ers as well. So
And
I don't need
rare,
Mahomes encroaching on Brady territory. You know,
well, it'll put San Francisco in rarefied air because I think that puts them. Won't that put them at 6 championships?
it will put them at
Pittsburgh.
6. Yep,
With Pittsburgh.
they will be caught. Yep.
So, and not to take away from Pittsburgh, but it just you can't hate on the Mr. Irrelevant story like you can't.
Such a good dude as well. I mean, I you guys know me. I mean, he's a man of faith, and he's not shy about proclaiming it. I do like that. I like that. So that adds to the appeal for me. I think San Francisco is one of those storied franchises as well that it's nice to see a return to glory. I love the uniforms. I got an uncle that lived in Palo Alto for a number of years. He's a big Niners fan. So it's like, I know he's happy somewhere, that type of thing. Yeah.
I think, San Francisco's the better team.
I would say they're powerhouse one.
I mean, they are the better team. They showed it against Detroit. I know that hurts a lot of people, but they showed it against Detroit.
They just
Not so-
remembered they were the Niners.
Yeah, not so much against Green Bay. They did just enough to win that game. That last drive from Purdy putting together, that was huge for his.
Again, making plays, man.
Well, it puts him in rarefied air when you talk about the 49ers. That last drive going down and scoring that go-ahead touchdown was huge for his story, his legacy in San Francisco. And like I said, going from Mr. Irrelevant to freaking going to the NFC Championship game last year, unfortunately getting hurt. I think the outcome would have been different if Purdy wouldn't have gotten hurt last year. Not saying they would have won it, but I think it would have been different. You can't help but to root for the kid, and I'm tired of fucking Kansas City. And I know I got asked this last week. Is it because they play in the same division of Denver? And no, it has nothing to do with it. I'm sick of Kansas City. I'm sick of them. And Joe, you're right. Andy Reid doesn't get a whole lot of credit when you talk about Kansas City in general. Andy Reid has done amazing things since he became the head coach.
Yeah, I like Andy Reid.
I
like him in Philly too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't dislike Andy Reid at all. He's a phenomenal coach. I think Philadelphia gave up on him too soon.
It's debatable.
And it's one of those in which it's hey, you know what? You make the best of the circumstance, and what he's done in Kansas City is phenomenal. He's
What is it? Is it 4 and 6 years? Or is it 4 and 5? 4 and 6? It's
AFC Championship game, I think 4 of the last 5 years, and I think it's close to that in Super Bowls, if I'm not mistaken. Something in that realm. Don't quote me, but you're not far off, Bob, at all.
I just remember hearing it and then not really being shocked by it because like you said, they're there every year. So it's
and Andy Reid is the big reason for that.
Yep.
It's not.
I mean,
Yes,
he's the
the
funniest
players-
one in those commercials. Let's be honest.
It's granted the players are the one playing the game, but at the same time, he's responsible for managing part of that game too. So a lot of it has to do with him.
Is that Spagnola? Is he the defensive guy there?
I think so.
Yeah.
Give me
That,
some-
that was kind of their big question on whether or not they were going to be able to hold, contain the run.
Oh, they shut.
Baltimore had no running game, so it was pretty much a
Hey.
non-factor.
Well, they deviated from their game plan. Like
All right.
Kansas
have
City
a,
forced them to play Kansas City game. Kansas City ball. Like
I have
Go ahead,
I have a curveball at some point I need to ask Dave about.
a curveball.
It's a movie, but I'm saying it's like completely off topic of what we were just talking about. So
That's okay. We do that off
Dave,
here.
2008,
Give me some of those nuggies.
a movie with a killer / wrestling angle with starring Rey Mysterio Jr. You familiar? Anything striking?
That's gotta be
It's called WrestleManiac, and it says. So, here's the description. For an amateur porn film crew traveling through Mexico, a wrong turn in the middle of nowhere leads to a ghost town called La Sangre de Dios, where locals claim that deranged luchador El Mascarado still lives to rip the faces off his victims. Now that night is closing in, the clothes are coming off, and the ultimate death match is about to be unleashed. Sounds pretty intense, huh?
Sounds like Skinamax if the clothes are coming off.
I mean, like,
Is Rhonda Shear on there?
so this is no
USA
Rey
Up
Mysterio.
Right. I mean,
Erwin Keys, Layla Milani. Those are the three names on it, and yeah, it looks legit. So I'll let you know how that is. It's still sealed. I haven't opened it up yet. So I'll let you know. WrestleManiac. Anybody in the comments, let me know.
and Bob, I don't know if you saw this earlier.
Who's that? This is your mail day?
No.
Christmas 2024.
Fucking January. And I don't even swear.
Only when it's necessary.
Jeez. I'll let you know how that one is after I watch this one right here, Vatos.
Vatos.
By chance, have you seen Blood In, Blood Out?
Dude. Is that like the 3.5 hour, like the white guy Mexican? Dude, I just became aware. I have not seen it from beginning to end, but I just watched like probably like a 40-minute video of a guy like talking about the movie.
Good movie.
Yeah, it's like I guess there's some things that like are sort of laughable today, but it's like it's still a good. That's kind of the message of the guy that was doing the video I watched. You know, if you don't take it like too serious and hold it in too like high of like a standard, then and just like enjoy the story. It can be it's a good movie, but 3.5 hour long movie, dude.
Yeah, one of Benjamin Pratt's first movies, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds right.
It's good.
Yeah,
And
I was curious to just know like what the situation, like why the white dude is like, is he just raised by Mexicans or like what's going on there? Maybe he's not even white. Maybe I don't even.
No,
I'll just.
he's a white dude.
Okay.
Uh, Los
Drinking?
Angeles, you know, hung like his best friends. Was he a cousin? I think somehow he's a cousin.
That's how he grew up, though. So like, it's not like
Right.
he's pretending.
Right.
This is it comes natural to him, even though he is a gringo. Speaking of gringos, did you ever see the Mel Gibson movie, Get the Gringo?
I have not watched it.
Dude, I watched it recently, man. It's from like 2012. He's like a dude that gets caught up in something, and he's like stuck in a Mexican prison. Unlike anything I've ever seen as far as prisons go. But it's just crazy how he like works. He's at the bottom. He gets tossed in prison and kind of makes himself important by like just doing what he does. He says, scheming people and like getting people to like fight each other. It's just a fun story, man. It's like real comical, man.
Was that pre or
For a
post?
movie.
Was that pre or
What?
post his rantings?
2012, so probably after Rantings. This was sort of on a comeback, I think, like with Edge of Darkness and this movie. He had a couple others. I still got to see him as the Santa Claus movie. I forget what it's called, but he plays a Santa Claus character. Sign me up.
Yeah, as we all go silent on that one.
Where's Vincenzo at?
He ducked out for a moment.
He's lurking.
Maybe, perhaps, could be.
So what's going on in you guys' neck of the woods?
Still waiting for a certain video to be uploaded by a Hall of Famer.
I do think I have my idea. I just was and if it doesn't happen, I'll turn it on for 60 seconds. Like, these are the people. Figure out why I voted for them later. But that'll be last resort. I think I got like four names that are just people that I've been nominating and they're not getting in. You gotta like start there. And then I'll probably nominate some, BS channels like ones we know.
Like
Yeah.
Amish Dave Harper.
Amish Dave is on my list for sure. I think Carlos is on there. I can't remember who I voted for last year. I'll have to rewatch my own video and take notes because I can't even remember.
That's what I did.
Have you watched any of the?
I really haven't, man. So I don't know who's being put up, who's being put over, or not. Is Jimmy Guns looking like he's getting in? You seen any?
Jimmy's getting a lot of votes.
Okay.
Like there's a lot more front runners, it seems. Even like I've watched quite a few over the last few days too, because a lot of them have been, put up.
Have you heard Shoebox Legends mentioned much?
Couple times.
Maybe he's not eligible yet. So maybe he's eligible. Shane's a good dude. I like what he does. So I haven't thought about check the qualifications of anybody that comes to mind just yet.
I'll give you a rundown as far as what I've noticed, and Dave can
let me know.
Vinny,
okay.
I guess, can chime in because I don't know how many he's watched. But Don's Field of Dreams has gotten quite a few votes.
Oh, good. Yeah, voting for Don. Yeah.
Eric 4-Leaf Cards. I think
I thought he was in.
No, he is not. Junior Baseball Fanatic 12, Liam has gotten quite a few votes.
Who else?
Okay.
Wade Boggs fans gotten quite a few votes.
John, all right.
Carlos.
I mean,
Carlos has actually garnered quite a few votes from people that I didn't know would vote for Carlos.
We've got one more coming from me. You can vote for 10, right?
Up to 10. Yep.
Up to
Dave.
If
Dave-
you could find 10 channels, it's tough to get that full ballot.
Said absolutely nobody.
Fucking stupid.
But yeah, Don's Field of Dreams, Four Leaf Cards, Jimmy Guns, Purple GT is getting a lot of support this year.
Really?
Which is fucking awesome.
Good, man. Steve deserves to be in. Well-
Dave's. I think Dave's gonna get more votes this year than what he did last year.
I'm saying less.
No, I don't think so, Dave. I don't
I
think
hope
so.
I hope I'm trending off the ballot. I really
You're not gonna trend off the ballot because
because it. I'm going to go on my mini rant that I wanted to go on last week. And again, it's apples and oranges. I get this, but you've got. I know people say, well, it's not all vintage baseball. It's a heavy influx of vintage guys in the community now. I don't know what percentage. I'd say probably close to half. Do something vintage wise, if not more. No.
So wait. Something vintage wise? Like, I'm not a vintage guy, but I've got something vintage wise. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
But you're
I'd
not
say
in that
like
category. You're
75%
not
of
in
a
that
person's
category.
collection has to be like, to be a vintage guy, you got to have more than half at least of your collection has got to be, or like your focus has got to be vintage, right?
Which is the
or
bulk
more.
of people that are there.
Yeah, it's an ungodly amount of
Sure.
and now again, we've talked about it before. It wasn't always like that. And again, change is good, change is bad, change is change. But when you have all these predominant vintage channels, you think, okay, that's history of baseball. That's a history thing. Do you go and it's somebody else? I think Bears fan 34 had said it, and somebody else had said it too. And I'm just like, finally, somebody fucking said it. You don't go into the Hall of Fame of your sport after 3 years. You don't go in after 4 years. You have to be an insanely talented player that is a record setter, somebody who transcended the game. Jim Brown with 9 years. Barry Sanders, I think, had 10. But they're 10 fucking insane years.
TD had said.
I would say Terrell Davis. So it'll never make sense, and this isn't for me saying, "Oh, I want to be in." I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to be popular. We're not going to be popular because we have opinions that don't fucking match up with anything other than the best cards were 1997 Fleer Metal and Essential Credentials. That was the best parallel insert of all time.
But Dave, in all fairness, and I can't remember who said this. Actually, I think it was Rick, Vintage Oddball Cards. Because you got to vote from him. And I knew you probably would. His statement was, Dave is not scared to share his opinions. His opinions may be different from others, but you can still be friends. That says something. Because we all have varying opinions. We've always had varying opinions. It's not always the norm. Nothing wrong with that. We don't agree with everything that everybody says, but we can still be friends with people. I know that's hard for you to grasp and accept.
Again, I get that, but in the reality of things, that's not always true. I mean, it's like, yeah, we can still be friends, but you can be friends and like, hey, I want to bounce something off you. And you can be friends and you can say hi to somebody or comment on a video and pretty
Those
much
are acquaintances. It's
turn
it's
around
a
and
mis-
shit on people with your people you're chattering with in some group text somewhere, and
it's
a sacred.
it's a misuse of the term. In all reality, the bulk of us are acquaintances. We know each other, but I don't put you in the category. This may piss some people off, and I apologize if it does.
I don't.
That's not the intent.
It is for me.
No, you're not even. I hadn't even said it yet. I don't put people in the friends category until the conversations teeter more towards how you doing, how's
Life.
the wife, how's the kids, how's the job, how's mom, how's dad.
How's the lawn?
Those I consider friends. When the conversations circle more along the lines of personal conversations, those are what I deem as those. That's when you get called a friend. So that's me personally. Like I said, it may piss people off. It's not intentional. We all start somewhere. We start interacting and conversing through shared likenesses because of the hobby. There are a lot of people that I would like to talk more with, get to know more about.
Baseball collector.
You can still have hobby friends in which all you do is talk about cards. I put those in their own category. Those are hobby friends when the conversations circle more around cardboard. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
There's
Sometimes
nothing wrong with that.
sometimes that's what people just want. That's the depth they want to be at, and
Yep. And
That's
that's perfectly fine. That doesn't mean I like them any less than than those that I deem as non-card friends. They're friends and or family. So it's people are guarded. I'm one of those people who are guarded. I'm very careful who I actually allow in my world, so to speak. And that list is small for reasons. I can't speak for anybody else, but that's just me. It's not a jab at anybody. It's not that anybody has done anything wrong in those situations. I am very guarded for reasons. And that doesn't mean that I don't drop my guard to try and start letting people kind of in and kind of move that card friend into the next level of friendship. It just takes time. Just takes time. The people on this screen, well, almost everybody on the screen because somebody's not on screen right now. This is family. And the reason why it's family is because most conversations are surrounded around other things than cards.
unless we pick something up for someone and we have to share it, and
That's different.
but there again, that's not saying you're a family member or whatever, and then talking with
It's-
that person.
It's sharing stuff so we don't duplicate efforts. That's not the same. That's not the same concept.
Sometimes though, the price is too good to pass up, and
I get it. But yeah, so Bob, just to recap, Don's Field of Dreams, Jimmy Guns, Junior Baseball Fanatic 12,
I don't know that one.
Purple. So that's Liam. Good kid. He was at the National.
Yeah, I don't even go through that. When people are saying that, I'm like, who the
He's
fuck is
he's
this?
he's a newer channel. He's 13 or 14 years old. He's a good kid. Like
I didn't.
I know. His parents are great people, and I'm gathering this because of what people are saying. He's a baseball guy, like so. I don't have as much of an interest. Purple GT 22, Dave, Carlos, four-leaf cards.
TJ Mack.
Yep, he's another one that's getting.
He's getting
Is
quite
he-
a few.
Dude, he got his football collection is just unbelievable. And then
Caleb Cards has
anything
got
he
it.
shows, there's always a reason, whether it's like something like the image that's captured on the card, or like the player is some obscure player that had a big game or something. Yeah, he's just very kind of like focused in his collection. Always has a story behind the cards that he picks up, and it's usually like high grade vintage football, which I always like to look at. Yes,
Thanks for taping the microwave back up.
sure. I take the microwave door back on. That's how we're living here, boys.
Oh,
At least your microwave works, so that's.
Well,
so
yeah,
yeah,
that is
it'll. I think the competition is going to be kind of tight for three,
Okay.
4, and 5 this year.
I think it's gonna be.
I do enjoy looking at the spreadsheet after it's all done, and seeing how people were thinking and that.
I think there's about 7 channels that have like a legit chance of
Yes,
getting
and you're on that list, Dave.
Nope.
Oh, but you are.
You'll see when it's all said and done. Yeah. To repeat what Steve said, the 2 that I think are shoe-ins are Don and I trust you for this one and Johnny Boggs. Those are the 2 that will, I believe, have the highest number of votes. That 12 baseball, whatever.
Well,
Again, when I hear-
Don's been on the campaign trail for like 3 years. I mean, since he joined YouTube, So, what's up, Don? If you're watching,
If Don is not going to be stunned, he has.
He's a live stream machine.
Donnie Livestream. I mean, that's his nickname.
I know that's why I said it.
That for a while, that's just the only content I did was sitting on other people's work and live streams and just mooch off their content.
There's not any content to mooch off here though, Bob. So I don't know what you're thinking.
Oh, Jay Stottlemyre, I've seen him pop up a number of times.
Oh, yeah, all right. He is his collection. I mean, again, I don't know him to be a YouTube Hall of Famer. I know that he has some freaking bonkers cards, specifically pre-war Babe Ruth stuff. Like, he's got some big cards, man. But
I feel like
everybody's got their different take on like what constitutes a vote from them.
I feel like Drew's gotten a little bit more love this year than what he has in the past.
Any just like complete bonkers like votes for nice. I know that dude. It's a fucking Jaguar.
If you know that dude, you must know.
Oh yeah. Ooh. Raunchy. That guy's raunchy.
He's about as tasty as my work. Oh, this one too.
Yeah, he's gotten quite a few votes this year. Yeah.
Big Scott.
Oh, Hitman 23's gotten quite a few
Yep.
too.
Oh, dude, Mike was one of my first subscribers. Nice. Yeah, I gotta put some thought to it and get out.
There's
It'll be done by midnight tomorrow, right?
Mike's gotten some votes. I feel like he deserves more than what he's gotten. Not that he cares, but Mike is just a fucking good dude, man. Like
Yeah. True.
Canadian cards, Mike.
Canadian cards, Mike. Yep, he's just
Yeah,
a good
Mike.
dude.
First class for sure.
He's gotten a few. I know Just the Bears mentioned, and he made a recommendation, and he kind
Just the
of
Bears. Is he an old channel?
do what?
Is Just the Bears an old channel?
He is an older channel, yes.
I've watched some of his stuff. From
Dave
way
and I
back.
found him from last year during the YouTube voting because he mentioned the IRP.
Oh, sweet.
Uh,
Ricky Russo did one of his contests where he like paired, people together that never really ran together. You know what I mean? I think him and I were in one of those groups.
but he brought up, he's like, I remember somebody's talking about last year a veterans committee. Well, I'm the one who like put it out there, at least in my video. Somebody else might have too, but I made the recommendation. And he ended up saying, he's like, just 1 year. Just 1
Yeah.
year. Make the qualifications. 10 years of making videos. Make people go do research and look at some of the older channels. And then go back to the 3-year requirement.
Yeah, because if you're worried about, oh well, we want to have longevity, we want this to last. Make a year dedicated solely to those. You know what I mean? Like, and let 10 channels in, and nominate and elect 10 channels that have 10 plus years. I could get on board with that.
I mean, if
Make
you
people
think
do the
about
work.
it, Jake has a valid statement. He wants this to continue for as long as he wants to continue to do it.
Yeah, good. Mhm.
Which is why he dropped it to 5 getting in each year.
Yep.
Which I get and I understand. But there are hundreds of channels that make card videos.
Yeah, but
Hundreds.
there used to be, I'm just like, dude, look, you're talking to me, dude. I would make 3 or 4 videos a week, sometimes more, and then it just is not where life has got me in a point where I can do that right now. So like people that come in, I like that you got to be in it and then stay with it. Like I wouldn't meet the qualifications now. You know what I mean? So I like that you make it as strict as possible, because if it truly is the Hall of Fame, then it needs to be. I feel like the channel's got to like bring in, and so I've been kind of like some of the channels that I've nominated that in the past, they were just kind of like channels that I liked. But
And that's okay too. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. But like because that's the only qualification is they've been making it for 3 years and I've been doing it for a year. So okay, it doesn't matter. Like it's what I think, right? So yeah. But now I get to a point like, okay, so I'm judging these channels on all these qualifications and characteristics that I myself no longer like keep up with. So it's kind of weird. I'm in a weird spot of like, well, is he commenting on videos? Is he watching and participating in the community? Because that's what Hall of Famers do, and I don't do that these days. So it's just weird, man.
But here's the thing: everybody's qualifications are different, whatever those may be.
Dave, that right there gets you in, man. That car alone gets you in.
But in all fairness, in this, and we talked about it last week, and a lot of people talking about, oh, well, people just vote for their friends. Well, in certain situations, that's not an incorrect statement. However,
you didn't become friends with people without working at becoming friends. There's a reason you started watching certain people's videos and you continued to watch videos and comment at that point in time, so on and so forth, which allowed you to become friends. So what's wrong with that being a foundation or a qualification per se for the channels that you vote for? There's nothing wrong with that. You didn't start out as friends. You became friends over time. And, you know, Brad, are you okay, Bob?
Totally meant to do that.
Are you good? Okay. I wasn't expecting that. That was all of a sudden. I'm like, was that were you trying to be poetic and being like, okay, I just fell out of my chair type situation? Like, what
I'm
about
sure
the
there's a
point?
metaphor there that somebody could figure out, you know, but yeah, we'll leave that up to the comment section.
But you know, in the end, like, there's a reason you vote for channels because you gravitated towards them. You started watching them. The whole production and editing and everything, that's great for a lot of people if that's what they want to do. But that, and I said it last week, that doesn't make you Hall of Fame worthy in my book. You know, commenting, yes, it's great. Being on live streams and being involved in conversations, I think to me carries more weight than commenting, because take it for what it's worth, folks. I could go click on a video, look at the title, and it's talking about pickups from the show, and I can immediately put a comment, great pickups, boom, I'm done. There's my comment, and not watch a fucking thing. So in the end, does commenting on videos
I've never done
actually,
that, for the record. I've never done that. Ever.
I can sit here and say I've never done that. Whether you're being
shit.
facetious or not, Bob, I you know,
Dude,
I'll
I can't
give you the
even
benefit
spell
of the doubt.
facetious.
But like I've talked about this multiple times. When I comment, I try and focus and put something about something that you showed at the beginning, the middle, and the end, and focus on that, so you know that I watched it.
Or
Now,
at least fast forward through it.
that's the other thing. It's either that or, you know, I can
Dude,
start
I get
it.
it, man.
I
It's
can
all
start
silly.
it.
Like the fact, just
It's
that we're even like
perception.
talking about like what any of this. It's I sort of just laugh. I'm like, you know, I mean, who gives a shit? For one, I think early on, if you're a new channel and you get somebody like an old timer commenting on your video, I will say it carried a little something extra. Yeah, okay, but like not to the point where like I'm, you know, I feel like a different person. I don't know.
When I think
A comment from me is not gonna like, you know, make somebody's day. So it's just like, I don't know.
if you're a good dude, your involvement it's not about being on Blog TV, joining breaks. If you join breaks, great. You join mystery packs, that's great. You know, you're helping other community members. That's the stuff. Commenting on videos, like I said, doesn't mean people are watching your stuff. Anybody can put a comment on a video and never freaking, they can click on the video, hit pause immediately, and literally just put a comment.
Yeah. And I will say I have watched more videos in the last year than I ever have like using my watching YouTube on my TV, and there's just no easy way or any way that I found out how to comment using my like remote. So and I'm sorry, I'm not gonna watch the video on the TV and then pull up the video on my phone and comment on it.
No, and I get that too. But that's why I've always said I still watch a lot of stuff. Usually a thumbs up. One of your thumbs up is probably from me.
Yeah.
If it's somebody that I follow and I want to watch.
That's the only way I know how to watch the video. If I click on it and there's a thumbs up already, I know I've seen it already. Like that's just
Yep.
kind of like my rule of thumb.
Literally.
But community involvement is looking out for others.
Yeah, I mean, it's very wide.
And
You can be involved in so many ways.
I'm not trying to put us on a pedestal, so to speak. But the Christmas episode every year is prime example. Selfless giving to people because we want to. Because that's enjoyable. And I'm not saying that you have to send care packages or racks that they're called now, which for in all practical purposes, I hate that term.
Yep.
It's not a random act of kindness. Like really, like I
unless it's designed that way, where it's just like you're mailing to somebody completely just out of
random.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, random.
If it's designed that way, yeah. But
it doesn't fit the definition. If you're looking through your feed and you've never interacted with somebody and you're like, oh, you know what? I have some cards that I have
just because is better.
Just because, that's. And I'm not saying that that's what you have to do to quote unquote show involvement, but it's the
Just
generosity, it's the giving back. That has a lot of weight with me. And the bulk of the old school folks that, and I'm speaking for Dave here, that we vote for, they did a lot of that. And it was just because. Not looking for anything, not looking for subscribers, not looking for whatever. It's just because you wanted to. And like I said earlier, the Christmas episode, we do it every year. I don't always send stuff every year. I would like to. But, it's all based on situation and circumstance. But we don't do it because we expect something back either. It's all out of the just the kindness that we want to share. And that's what it's about. Because what a lot of people don't understand is sometimes yeah, and for the record, Bob, that's your stack from Dave, by the way, in case you haven't.
I know. I connected the dots.
There might be a sprinkling of other cards in there, but
all right, good.
For other participants on this current screen, but
it's you'd be surprised what joy you can bring to people, because you don't always know what's been going on, with them, life, work, whatever. And sending something just because out in fucking left field, there's no greater feeling. I would always rather give than receive.
I mean, it just could be a PWE, man, with some card with like a dude with a stupid grin on his face that makes me laugh. So you just send it my way with hey, thinking about all that little stuff, man, for sure. That goes miles compared to freaking comments.
Yep. So it's listening to people. And the only way you can listen to people is by watching podcasts like this when we talk about random stuff, or in past videos. That's one of the things that I don't want to say puts like Vinny at the top of my list, because he'll never be at the top of my list. I was waiting to see if he'd pop. Yeah, to see if he'd pop back on. He knows that's not true, but like he listens. He listens, and sometimes it's the smallest things, but he listens. And when people take that time to listen and then put forth the effort to send you something because of a small tidbit of information, that tells you the type of person that he is. And yes, I'm calling out him specifically. Dave also listens, but I don't know. Vinny picks up on the smallest freaking tidbit sometimes. But from my perspective, I try and do the same thing though too.
Brad's getting mentioned in the comment there, and that's just another guy. You might never heard of the dude before, but you've heard of Bradley Claus. You know what I mean? It's just from people talking about it, and then you can. I remember that when I would first start, you heard more of a story of somebody more so than knew who he was, and then connecting the dots later. Oh, that's the guy that everybody was talking about. That kind of fun thing.
Yep.
When somebody's reputation of generosity precedes them, and I want to know that person, not so I can get in on it, just those are my people.
Well,
And
and
that's
I think
I'm gonna butt in. I've had more fun buying that stack of shit over the last. It started a little before this Christmas, or this past one. I've had more fucking fun buying that stuff than shit for me. And the most fun I've had looking at cards in 2-3 years, because I know where it's going. I know the reaction's going to be genuine. It's not going to be, hey, I'm card collector too, and you just gave me a fucking Donnie Nicky Sage base card. Oh, thanks for thinking about me, bud. Can I sign your Zion case? And then just go along. It's no, this means something to somebody. That means a ton to me. So
I'm right there with you.
it's in the same boat. I hate, and again, I'm glad everybody's sitting down. Bob might flip over again, but I hate getting stuff. I hate it so vehemently. It irritates me. I don't like getting stuff.
That's why we do it.
I know, you're fucking assholes.
You're getting kicked in the nuts so hard this year. You have no idea what's coming.
I hope my dick doesn't come up.
I do.
Ooh, did you catch what I just said live on TV? Ooh. Well, Dad, there goes the streak.
2 in a row. Nope, can't do it.
No, I dropped the big one. I just said it quietly. Woo.
I know what it is. I know what it is.
So yeah, it's
And I enjoy that part of it though too, because I know I'm a procrastinator anyways, because that's just how I roll. But I can enjoy it. I've given both Dave and Vinny shit. It's fuck guys, why don't you leave something for me?
no.
It's all in good fun, and I get it, but I've enjoyed seeing stuff too. So it's not just for you, Bob. There's been other cards that have been shared for other people, but that's enjoyable. And to piggyback off of Stuke's comment, I've never experienced this. I have been a part of it twice in my entire YouTube career. One was Tyson NZ, which was coordinated by Tom Hudson Fan 15. And it was all circled around. PayPal used to be like Nazis. And this is back when breaks were hard and heavy, and PayPal would start getting rough on locking down PayPal accounts because people weren't following directions when buying breaks, buying spots and breaks. And Tyson did a lot of stuff as a quote unquote business. He was a collector, but he did it quote unquote as a side business too. And his PayPal got shut down, his funds got held, and we're talking pretty decent amount of money. And Tom did a collection, and I was fortunate enough to be part of that collection. And some nice stuff was sent to Tyson to kind of lighten the mood and be like, hey, we got your back, we're rooting for you type situation. And then of course the one with Brad. But like sitting there thinking about both those experiences and remembering the reaction from Tyson. And then, of course, watching the video from Brad, which I've watched a multitude of times now, and seeing his reaction and his facial expressions and holding back emotions. That has to be one of the most humbling, emotional experiences for an individual in this community. And it's a testament to what the community can do for others. It's awesome. Like, I can only imagine what emotions an individual would go through getting something like that. It's truly fucking awesome. So it's just a fucking cool thing.
And that's, again, one of those controversial statements. We're not saying go out there, load up somebody stocking with massive amounts of like mid to high end cards. Again, no matter what, like back then, high end was 100 or above. Any like upper mid was 75. We're not saying doing that, get kabooms and all this other shit. But at the same time, I've seen videos, I see titles to videos, I bought this massive card, bought these cards. I'll never tell you how to spend your money. We've said that a million times. If you say you've got friends in the hobby, no matter who it is, if these are people that are near and dear to you, and you really believe in, hey, sprinkling a little love their way, and you actually do listen to what they say, and you do listen to what they collect, show them some love, get them something. Again, first and foremost, it's the thought process going through their mind, like, hey, this person thought of me. It's not enough about me to get whatever it is. And that can forge that friendship instead of, I don't know.
Big or small. Big or
Yeah.
small.
Yeah, like Bob said, it can be one of his favorite fucking trainers from a 1986 CCM or CCMA card, and
Pro cards.
Joey Pro Pornstash / Jeffrey Dahmer glasses / fucking Lee Trevino
Chest
golf.
hair coming out. Yeah.
Shirtless dudes.
The big the gold chain on there, and I mean something like that he'll piss himself looking at that because he hasn't seen it.
Yes.
With stuff like that, it doesn't always have to be a fucking T206. It doesn't have to be some crisp copy of a 1953 Topps. It doesn't have to be the latest Prism parallel. It just
It's not the amount of money that you spend.
Yeah, and sometimes
behind it.
it's a second year Roberto Clemente, you know, and sometimes that's what it is.
yeah, just happens.
And then you shoot your pants.
Sometimes it's a Chrome update, rookie auto graded 101 superfractor.
Yeah, stuff like that.
As long as it's in BSP.
But
Sometimes it's in the autograph.
It's not the amount of money. It's not the value. It's not the perceived value. It's the thought. You know, I still remember the first care package I sent to Bob, whenever that was, pre-national. And, you know, through conversations on here, talking about, you know, lacking in the mid 2000s of
I got my Brad Johnson circa Ray,
but
or-
missing mid 2000s football, like you didn't do a lot at that point in time.
Yeah.
Which was 2 of the sets that I sent, because
Oh hell yeah.
you know,
I had no Marshawn Lynch, I had no Megatron, I had no Vince Young, no Reggie Bush, none of that.
So it's the small things. It's paying attention to those conversations, and and it's the small things that mean most to people. And it amazes me that it seems still too many people focus on how much something is or the perceived value. You know I mentioned this in past episodes, you know, after the Christmas episode, talking about, like, I know Vinny does a lot of his shopping on eBay. Like, if I really gave a shit about how much he spent, I could go figure it out. But that's not important. It's not important. That's irrelevant. And that should never be a focal point.
I mean, I'm not saying if I've ever. I mean, I know I've watched a video from somebody that bought like a car I just thought was nutty, and I definitely went to eBay to see what they paid for it. You know what I mean? Like, but nothing that was something that they bought for their collection. It didn't matter what the dollar amount was, but I was curious. But I was in the you know in the spirit of what you're saying, the giving. It don't matter. It don't matter. None of that matters. So I would agree.
And it shouldn't ever matter to anybody. Like
The old saying, it's a thought that counts.
Yeah, I mean, truly, have you experienced like where somebody gave somebody something and they acted like it wasn't enough, or like it was a return care package of sense, like, and they gave the impression that this didn't equal what they sent out or something. Like, I mean, if you, I know you feel, we all feel strong about it, so it's like, you know, I don't need details. I mean, but like clearly you've seen something that were like that rubbed you the wrong way, that you need to say, hey, none of that shit should really matter.
I'm going to go first on this one because I hold a grudge better than anyone. It's not a good trait to have. I got to deal with him at Phillips's wedding. He was there too, and when I saw him, I'm just like, oh, what a treat of treats for me. Somebody I never really cared for, Bob Wilkie. Oh, I don't even remember what the fuck his thing was. It was a king. For whatever reason.
K minus 16.
K minus 16, yes. again, somebody I never, ever cared for, and his multiple trying to get back on YouTube, and he'd be gone for a couple years, and I'm gonna be back on making videos. We had this thing, and again, it sort of circulated, same sort of thing. What, last year, 2 years ago? You had a list of people in the box. It was on the piece of paper. Again, if you wanted to be part of this, like 150 count, whatever it was.
The box.
Yep.
The original concept of the box.
This is something
Like take cards out of it, add cards into it.
And most of the time, people would just take like one or two. Maybe somebody would take a little more, but you'd always try to put equal, if not more, back in there. Again, seeing you had your name.
Something you didn't want. Like, you're a football guy. I got baseball cards. I don't just put them in the box. Whatever.
And a lot of it had to do with, okay, let's say, I think I got mine from Micah, and mine was supposed to go down to, I think, Greg Thomas, 82. So I'm like, okay, Packers. Or maybe it was Wilkie, then Greg Thomas, because then cities, and then down to Iowa. And so I threw in, I can't even fucking tell you what I took out. I'd have to go back and look at the video. It's still up there from over 10 years ago.
But it wasn't stuff that was like put in there for you. It was just like stuff, maybe somebody saw your name, they thought you might be interested, type of thing.
Yeah. It'd be like, okay, somebody'd be like, okay, there's Chargers, there's a Phillip Rivers jersey to 250, or stuff that, again, maybe it's stuff you like, but you don't say it. You don't always advertise everything. Yeah. But I think he got his next, and his pretty marble countertop and $30,000 kitchen, and I'd put a Bubba Franks 2000 Collector's Edge Supreme Hollow Gold number to 20. So rookie parallel number to 20. I'm like, I've seen one Dennis Northcutt. I know these are tough cards. A being the 20. Again, a lot of the shit's been open because Brady is in that set. So I know stuff is out there. I just don't see them. So he had his little rant of like, this box is one of the worst things I've seen. It's filled with nothing but like $5, $3, $1 relics. Somebody even put a Bubba Franks card in here. And so I'm like, so you're calling me out personally now? without knowing who sent it. And he's like, well, I'm going to take all these, I'm going to throw them in the garbage, and then I'm going to put some good stuff in there so everybody gets like what this box was intended for. And I'm just like, ooh. So it was Baseball Collector before Baseball Collector was around. So like I'm gonna step up and do what I have to do to make this right, because you guys don't know. And so when that happened, I'm like, dead to me, you're fucking trash. And so again, when Phillips has his wedding and I go to fucking RBI Crew to unload some cards, and then he's like, oh yeah. And I look at the guy and I'm like, fuck, he looks familiar. I'm like, why do I know this guy? And I'll go, whatever, who cares? He doesn't matter. I'm not here for him. And then Ryan's like, oh yeah, I just made a deal with Bob over there. Bob. K-Midas. And I'm like, oh. Huh. But again, I was cordial. I said, hey, how are you doing? How's everything going? But I didn't say shit to him really at the wedding. And it was. And again, there's where when we talk about, hey, somebody likes this person, I don't like him. That doesn't mean no, I can't, or they can't like him. That was a perfect example of that That misfortune, of course, bestowed upon me and my feet.
That really happened? The dude threw cards in the trash?
No, again, I don't know if they stayed there or if he took them out, but he's like, this is all.
Even to have that like air about you that you're gonna take it upon yourself. Dude.
It was, but it wasn't high end stuff to begin with.
No, that wasn't the premise of
It was mid end stuff, and like I know I think
a Greg Jennings jersey or something like it was something. It wasn't. It was maybe
Dude,
a
if there were like right, so you got like Dree Archer rookies in there or Mike Wall, like for Steeler cards. It's not your Tatum Bells and stuff for Bronco cards. It's not. I'm not putting Terrell Davis in there. I get it.
It's not John Elway autographs and Roethlisberger.
If it wasn't the dude's thing, then just pass it on, man.
The whole concept was, it wasn't just to take stuff for like your collection though either. Like I know mine's still up there. I think I took like 6 or 7 cards. And the bulk of what I took was to include in other care packages to send.
There you go. Perfect. Because you knew something that somebody else didn't. So I'm going to take this card and pass it, put it in somebody's personal collection that would love it. Yeah. Hell yeah.
And I like would double the amount. Like if I took 6 cards, and I don't remember how many I took, I doubled what I put back in there. But when you look at it, it was lower to mid end stuff. There was a few higher end cards in there, $100 or less types of, but that wasn't the norm.
No.
And it's one of those in which there was a lot of lower end jerseys. There were some patches. There were a few lower tiered rookie autographs. There was nothing super expensive in it in the first place.
No. It would have been $3 to $5 cards at like a box at National. That might have had like a book value between 12 and 25, maybe.
Where occasionally you'd catch a $40 card or a $60 card. Yeah,
like it might have been like a Tim Brown college auto or something in there. It's like, okay, that's pretty cool.
I want to say there was a Kaepernick. That was like the biggest card that I think I saw in that box. Kaepernick auto, which was fairly big at the time, but even then, it was still a lower tier product.
Like, so that wouldn't be something, but yeah, okay. I don't know, man. It wouldn't be something like if I was doing it in the spirit of the box, I wouldn't take that card. You know what I mean? I wouldn't see like an opportunity to score.
Well, and that's exactly, and that was part of the concept and part of the premise. And it went to like 20 people. I mean, it went through a lot of people.
Yep.
So you don't know who put what in. You don't know what the bulk of what people took out.
And what started it? Like, did just one guy put some cards in a box and said, "I'm going to send it off," and then just added and subtracted from there? Or was there a significant amount to start that somebody was just like, I don't know what to do with these, let's pass them around?
There was quite a few to start. It was almost a full 2-row box.
I know
1.5.
Mr. Fisherbike did something like that not too long ago, where it was just kind of a box that went around. You take from it what you want and put it in.
Well, that's why I said this was the original.
The original, yeah.
the original.
I mean, he's been around for 11 years too, so he probably remembers what you guys are talking about.
And he may have been involved in the first go around.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember, but it was
that's unfortunate. I mean, dude, but we know there's always, no matter what, there's always going to be that percentage. And they might not be in the community, but they're in the hobby, man. They're out there. So,
well, and that's also the thing. That's always the issue that you run into, like perceived value. Like there was no parameters other than like this is what's going out. These are the rules.
Yeah.
You know, if you take X number of cards, return at least the same number of roughly the same caliber.
On the
Right,
honor
yeah.
system.
Don't
But,
put like
you know,
80 tops in there and or some cool patches to 50. Again, it might be a shitbag like Paul Williams or whoever the fuck it was, but it's like don't be that dick.
but it's that goes along the lines of perceived value though too, because and
Right.
there was quite a few people who used to do custom case breaks, and you know, usually they average between what 50 and $80 a spot, and all a custom case break is based on sport. If it was based on teams or whatever, ASC got a little bit more creative with his. But, you know, they're usually the people who put them on was, you know, 3 to 5 case hits, quote unquote, what was deemed as case hits. And all that meant was with an expected value of at least 1.5 to 2 times your entry fee if you chose to sell said card. I mean, that was kind of what the average was. But it still goes back to perceived value and at the time in which it was held. Something that could be determined or deemed as a case hit by the said breaker, you're sitting there going, that's like a $30 card. That's not a case hit. So and those were the challenges that anybody who put them on ran into. You know, I
Might be a common case hit, but it ain't.
that
You know what I
mini
mean?
helmet was a case hit in one of Seven's custom case breaks.
What was it?
That mini helmet back there, that's
Oh,
an
all right.
autographed Terrell Davis mini helmet. That was one of the case hits in one of his breaks.
That's pretty
And,
boss.
you know, it's autographed mini helmets of TD range anywhere between, you know, $50 and $75. That qualifies as a case hit when you're paying, you know, 45, 50, $60. There was something else also, and I don't remember what it was. It was a patch card, I think. But you know, that's
You knew what those case hits were prior to
no.
So that way
Okay.
you'd have your people and you go on blog, have your names, just like on
Random.
Cards Infinity. Then you'd have your teams random at
Random.
used 7 times because it was ARFL
Yeah.
77. Boom, boom, line them up, and then you'd have like what 5 minutes to trade,
Yep.
and then you'd start. And it was in that time, and I've told this story. I had that. Oh, was it Richardson? Buck Richardson, whatever Leaf certified, like fabric of the game dual, like a 2 or 3 color patch, and then the Len Dawson or the gridiron gear, the rubber helmet auto to 10. That was because I had the Eagles. That one time I traded with Jeff or Will Dawkins 311. Because there's like 2 or 3 other guys that wanted the Eagles too, but I'm like, well, he's got the Chiefs. I'm gonna bet that Michael, being a guy that usually with his case breaks tended to, if he could, go back in time to find stuff. Like at the time, they didn't. Dwayne Bowe. Yeah, Dwayne Bowe is your main guy, hobby wise. I mean, he's not going to get a Snoop Minnis. He's not going to get Sly Morris. Priest Holmes, I mean, that stuff was nice, but it wasn't a commanding of $30-$40. So I'm going to bet he's going to go back. And that's where I got that. But I mean, you don't know. They'll be like, okay, there's 8 case hits out of the 30 or whatever team. And
you know at the time in which he's about to quote unquote open the pack.
Yep.
for that team. Oh, we got our first case hit. And that's when you find out. Like, you have no idea what the case hits are. You have no idea who they are, what teams they're for. Like, you know nothing. It's all at random,
Mhm.
and you're playing the odds. But it was a better value for most people who were willing to put forth the time and effort to put those together, because, like, in that prime era, there really wasn't a whole lot of quote unquote case hits in a case of cards.
Mhm.
You know, yes, there were big cards in unopened cases, but like, there was no guarantee that something could be determined as the quote unquote case hit if you were opening up, 2007 Exquisite. You know, there's going to be some big cards, but is it a case hit? Is it not? At least with the custom case break, you had a better chance of quote unquote
Yeah.
getting what was deemed as a case hit. Great concept. Dave Puffbear did a couple. Michael did a couple. Ryan did a couple. Those are the only ones that I remember. Is there anybody else? Oh, and ASC, which was Authentic Sports Cards, for those who don't know who that is. And I still have the freaking box from the one custom case break I got in his. He actually made wooden boxes and engraved them, which was pretty damn cool. So I still have my box.
And even then, I would have loved to get into more of them, but I think the one with Michael was 30. That's why I looked at it. The one that I hit stuff that I liked, I was like $30. I'll take a chance. This one time, I'll get amongst it, and just because like the Bobo packs, and then anything
Those
else.
were the greatest.
But that's the thing. It's just like, oh, I want to get that, but it's just too much at the time
Bubba,
for me.
Bubba
Boba.
packs were pricey. Bubba packs were pricey. But
I mean, I know
man,
you got some fucking insane value, usually more than what you paid in, but at the same time, it's like I just brand
Yeah.
newborn,
Yep.
and then Josh Johnson's actually doing well.
Yep.
So it's like, if I got any funds, it's got to go in that little sliver right there, or my stupid inserts that I didn't collect in 1995 at all.
But yeah, it's so many different options, so many. I will say it's, and this is my opinion, since we talk about the OG YouTube, a lot of people mystery packs case. We had our breakers. We always had our breakers. We had our higher end breakers. We had our low end breakers, mystery packs, custom case breaks. There was a lot of, I'll call it quote unquote, kind of ingenuity when it came to individuals trying to find ways to make some money, but also have fun doing it.
And include the community.
Because like GSN Nick, and then Try5 Ty Durden 555, and then Denny and Susie were like the main.
How many of
cheaper
those
breaks.
guys are Hall of Famers today?
They're not.
Which
They did the cheaper breaks. Then you had True 17 and Tyson and Enda Paul, who did the higher end breaks. And of course, we can't forget about AR Platinum. He did the same.
now he's scratching lotto tickets and he's got fucking 8
Yep.
million subscribers or whatever it is.
Yep. Chris did case breaks too through Cards Infinity.
Yep.
But there was something for everybody. Bubba packs were the top of the line, and for those who don't know what Dave and I were talking about, it's Sith Lord Pat was his YouTube channel. He didn't really make videos, but he opened a shit ton of product, high-end product, and he would always quote unquote employ Tyson to run the packs, and it was usually between 30 and 40 packs, give or take, 25 to 40 packs. Roughly 8 to 10 chasers is what they were called in those days. They weren't called case hits and mystery packs, but there were chasers. And you want to talk about some huge cards. Huge cards. Now, mind you, they were typically between $40 and like $55 a pack. So it was a big risk. But, high risk, high reward. And I was on the receiving end of some of those, or at least on one round. But Tyson also did great packs himself.
Yep.
So a lot more options, a lot more readily available situations. Hey, Mike, in those situations now, like those of us that more interact community wise, we're more collectors. It's not about, what are you selling me, so to speak. You still have your breaking channels, we all need them. They're there for a reason. We all need them. But, now you have Whatnot. You have people posting breaks on Instagram. Now you have eBay people posting breaks. But like mystery packs and custom case breaks are a thing of the past, it seems. And I get the reason behind why, because everybody's too focused on perceived value.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be very difficult to come up with a group of mystery packs. And if you sold them for $10 type situation, it would be hard to sell them because people want a chance at the big hit. And in those situations, you're not getting something huge. You're not going to spend $10 and hope to get something that's $500. Like, that's not a thing.
Mm-mm.
So it's things are different. Part of me wishes we could go back to some of those days, but on the flip side, it is kind of nice that people aren't all peddling their own shit, because there was a lot of that.
God.
Not that it was bad, but it's almost like there were some people that seems as though that's all they were doing. Buy my mystery packs. Buy into my group break. Buy into my group break.
What's the Raz is for minis for.
Oh, of course, we had Razes too.
God, just
$100, a card that sold for $80, you could do a 10 spot $10 Raz and actually make $20, which a lot of people did. But it's the same thing as gambling. Like, you'd be better off going spending $10 on a lottery ticket and hope for something more than like winning a card.
mm-hmm. Or go buy the card itself and.
So different times. Good times. A lot more drama, I think, back in our day, though, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously. That's the only thing that I'm kind of glad it's not as bad now. There was a lot more drama. Holy cow. We won't get into that.
I was just saying, holy cow.
I knew where you were going. You didn't even have to say the name. I knew where you were going with that.
That one was just a Wow.
Clusterfuck
Wow.
in more ways than one.
I gotta go to bed soon, fellas. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be abrupt.
Oh,
But I don't want to. I didn't want to drop off if you were wrapping up in your future.
We are. I felt like we're a little over 2.5 hours. I feel like we can go ahead and stick a fork in this one.
Was that a
So-
burp from Steve?
No, that was not a burp for me. Before
Oh.
before Dave wraps this up, I'm sure he would say this. Get your votes in if you're planning on voting for the YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame.
I'm sure he's definitely going to say that.
Vote for Amish Dave Archer.
so that guy's got to get a vote. Right there, he's got a vote. And that one's got to go.
You can just
Trust
do
me.
the doctor exclusive route and just, you don't even have to, like, you just turn a camera on and hold up little pieces of paper. Yeah.
I've seen that. Who was it? Andy did that. Enough said.
Yeah.
Basically, 2 minutes of that, and
Diamond Yard Sports Cards did the same thing.
see, I didn't
Yeah.
see. I didn't see that or his video.
His was
easy
posted
for
today.
Okay.
His was posted today. Vintage Oddball card.
Yeah,
Rick.
I'll probably watch a couple, a handful or so. But yeah, I appreciate the heads up on sort of how people are thinking. As far as you guys can tell, that helps.
Rated rookie got a few, but not as again. Steve, I think, said it.
Yeah,
last
he's somebody
week.
I always vote for. I always vote for Victor Negron, and like they're not going to get in, I guess. But it's like
Victor hasn't gotten a lot of votes too, but he's another guy. Like there's so many deserving people.
yeah,
It's hard, and no matter what anybody says, the longer you've been on YouTube, the harder it is.
and that's the truth.
Dave and I focus on the older channels, but we both. I did honorable mentions. Dave did honorable mentions in his, and we did both older and newer channels that
Yep.
deserve some recognition and visibility. Because we're not just about the older channels. There are great people that are in the community now that are just as deserving.
Yeah,
And we're not strictly old school because there are some great channels out there, and just because we don't vote for them doesn't mean that they're not deserving.
yeah. You only get 10 votes.
Again,
So-
certain people have the different parameters of what they try to include.
So we'll know by next show because it usually don't
We
take.
should.
Yeah, he usually does it that like within an hour. He's like on top of it, man. So
Yeah. Next show we'll know who the next class is. So it doesn't have to be long. Just make sure you tag Jake and put the channel names.
No, I did
channel
watch-
names
I
in
did
the
watch-
description.
yep, I did watch the rules and all that jazz. So we'll
Not-
get something up for sure. I'll
Not
get
everybody
something.
followed the rules, but
Nope.
make it
They never-
make it easy. But make it easy.
Channels
For
you
Jake.
voted for.
Make
Yeah.
it easy for him.
Yeah, that's kind of my approach.
So wrap us up, Dave.
Thank you all for watching, joining us. The constant YouTube Hall of Fame chatter. Everybody loves that. It's a divisive subject, and we're not afraid for for being divisive on here. Thank you for Robert jumping on. Always a pleasure to have you, good sir. Hall of Fame patch and all. Gotta get in your sweater vest or your denim vest.
Yeah. I'm working. I have to come up with a new scheme for that. Maybe a sleeveless T-shirt or something.
A belly shirt.
Right. One that you like get one of those circles from the 90s and you pull like all the excess T-shirt through, tie it up. Yeah.
Yeah. You'd have to have your hair to the side though, or something.
Yeah. Named Tiffany or something.
Yeah, with an eye. So until next week, I think we're Tuesday. I don't think we've got any hindrances. I think Monday I got game, and Tuesday not so much. So till next Tuesday. Remember, sports cards, absolutely wonderful hobby. The friendships that you forge along the way, that's what really matters. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.